Welcome back to the Deep Dive. We're here again to break down source material and basically pull out the actionable insights for you.
And today, yeah, we've got something pretty interesting. It's a whole stream of notes, really energetic, from a team running this specialized gaming mission. They called it the Halloween Project.
Right, the Halloween project. So this is going to be a tactical look, but also kind of humorous based on these notes. A team working together, very specific objective.
Exactly. The core goal right off the bat was hunting down and, well, eliminating a set number of named enemies. 4 of them, I think.
4 named targets, yeah. Had to be specific types to hyenas, outcasts, or true sons, all across these key locations in DC within the game.
And you can really feel the enthusiasm in the source material. It's very conversational, lots of back and forth.
Well,
So expect this deep dive to be, fast-paced, maybe a bit chaotic, like their mission, full of some pretty surprising battlefield chatter.
okay, so let's dive in. Where do we start? The mindset, maybe.
I think that's perfect because, honestly, before you get into the what, you need the why. And one of the team members just laid it out there, plain and simple.
What do they say?
Basically, shooting is important to my happiness.
Okay, well, that sets the tone, doesn't it? That's the core philosophy right there.
It really is, and it kind of drives everything else. They weren't just, ticking boxes. They were actively seeking that satisfaction, that enjoyment from the activity itself.
So how did that translate into the actual mission? Where did they begin?
Initially, they were focusing on hyena bounties. Seemed like the easiest path to start, mostly around the White House area and then down into Southwest. Laying the groundwork, you could say.
Makes sense. Start with the low-hanging fruit.
Precisely. But the interesting part, strategically, is how they adapted when those ran out. They hit the main project goal, those 4 named targets, by shifting gears.
How so?
They realized the hyena bounties were done, so they deliberately moved into doing manhunts, which crucially pushed them into different territories.
Ah, okay. So territory is controlled by the other factions.
Exactly. Suddenly, they're in Foggy Bottom, dealing with outcasts, or later on Roosevelt Island facing true sons. It wasn't random. It was a pragmatic choice to use the game structure, the manhunts, to find the specific named enemies they still needed for their project.
That's smart. Using the game systems to funnel them towards the goal.
Yeah, and you can feel the excitement build in the notes as they get closer. You see these little updates, like someone shouting out, "I'm 3 out of 4!"
Oh, nice. So they were tracking it individually but celebrating together.
Totally. Lots of confirmation. Yep, got mine. That sort of thing. It wasn't just about the individual tally. It was this shared progress, this collective push. The real win seemed to be hitting that goal together.
That camaraderie definitely comes through. Okay, so they've got the motivation, they've got the strategy. Let's talk gear. The weapons. There was a lot in the notes about sniper rifles, right?
Oh, yeah. Big discussion there. It really boiled down to a choice between 2 specific exotic snipers, the Nemesis and the Shroud.
And they had definite opinions on both.
Very definite. The Nemesis, see, it's powerful, no doubt, but its mechanic requires you to hold the trigger down to charge up the shot for maximum damage.
Right, I remember that. And they weren't fans?
Not really. For this kind of run, it felt, I think the word they used was less kinetic. It introduced this pause, this sort of deliberate charging moment that didn't quite fit the fast-paced chaos they were in. They even mentioned wanting something more, quote, realistic, which is interesting given what comes next.
Because then you have the Shroud, which is almost the opposite of realistic,
Yeah.
right? It's all about maximizing damage in a very specific, almost gamey way.
Exactly. The Shroud is pure hyper-damage optimization. It's got this unique talent, Chain Killer. The key thing is it gives this massive damage bonus, but specifically against bosses and those heavy, high-health enemies.
Especially headshots, wasn't it?
Yeah, they called it out. The head gets a much, much heavier damage bonus. But getting that bonus isn't straightforward. It's a whole process.
Okay, break that down. How does the Chain Killer actually work? This is key for anyone listening who wants to replicate this kind of damage.
Right. So think of it like setting up dominoes. First, you have to find and kill a specific type of enemy, usually a lower tier heavy, the ones with the purple health bars.
Okay, got to kill a purple first with a headshot.
Preferably, yeah. A precision kill on that purple enemy is what activates the main buff, the Chain Killer talent. They mentioned hitting one for like 9 million damage, which instantly triggers it.
And then what?
Then Immediately, and you got to be quick. You switch targets to the main boss, the big yellow bar elite. You take that stored up damage buff from the purple kill and unleash it on the boss's head.
And that's where the crazy numbers come from.
That's the money shot. That's how they got that absolutely staggering 40 million damage headshot on a boss. It's taking the potential energy from the first kill and focusing it into this massive critical hit. Pure tactical exploitation.
Wow. 40 million on one shot.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it could easily go wrong.
Oh, absolutely. That's the whole challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Target prioritization becomes everything because you've got this chaotic battlefield, maybe a whole fleet of yellows, as they put it.
Right. You kill the purple, get the buff, but then who do you shoot?
Exactly. If you accidentally pop the wrong yellow enemy first, or if you miss the kill shot on the purple heavy to begin with,
Poof. The buff is wasted.
Yeah.
No 40 million damage shot.
gone. And you need to know instantly which of those yellow enemies is the actual heavy hitter you're supposed to save the buff for. Is it the grenadier, the guy with the flamethrower, the drone operator? Picking the right primary target after the setup kill is critical. Mess up the order and that whole damage chain collapses.
So it's high risk, high reward, intense focus required.
Super intense. But what's great about these notes, and maybe keeps them sane, is that even while calculating all this, they're still noticing the absolutely ridiculous stuff happening around them, the physics glitches, the weird visuals.
Yeah, the battlefield bloopers section. That's where the humor really shines. It seems like noticing the absurdity was almost as important as the tactics.
I think it was key for morale, keeps things light when you're dealing with, intense firefights. And some of the things they described were just gold.
Like the enemy deaths.
Oh, yeah. They called them X-Files deaths. Said they saw one guy get basically morphed right into the wing of a crashed cargo plane.
Seriously. Morphed into the wing.
Yep. The direct comparison was Han Solo and the carbonite, just perfectly fused with the metal.
Okay, that's vivid. What else?
There was the description of what happens after a big explosion hits a group of enemies. They said the bodies all bounce at the same time.
Let me guess, they had a phrase for that too.
They did, like sock puppets full of regret.
Sock puppets full of regret. That's amazing. Just these limbs flailing lifelessly.
Exactly. High-flying, unintentional, grim comedy. And then there was the running gag about the agent acting like a scarecrow.
The scarecrow persona.
Right.
Tell us about that.
Well, one agent apparently felt particularly vulnerable, always out in the open, maybe attracting fire, so they just embraced the scarecrow comparison.
Which led to inevitable call-outs, I imagine.
Oh, constantly. Things like scarecrows on fire when they got hit by incendiaries, or the specific indignity of getting a ladder shot.
Ladder shot. Like shot while climbing a ladder.
Yeah. Apparently a particularly embarrassing way to go down in their book, peak scarecrow vulnerability.
They had their own little language going too, didn't they? Beyond the scarecrow thing.
Totally. Internal jargon is huge for team cohesion, right? They found some random supply room, and it had these like brightly colored rainbow throw cushions everywhere.
Oh, right.
And they immediately named it the kindergarten collab.
The kindergarten collab room, love it. And they didn't just call enemies hostiles either.
Nope. They were chuckleheads. Or if you had a group of them together, that was a chest of chuckleheads.
A chest of chuckleheads. It just takes the edge off, doesn't it? Makes the threat seem slightly less threatening.
A little bit, yeah. And speaking of vivid descriptions, we have to mention the LMG, the light machine gun.
Oh, right. The food comparison.
The food comparison. When they were watching someone use an LMG on a target, the visual effects of the impacts, the sort of chunkiness of it, they said it looked exactly like shooting cans of chunky spaghetti.
Oh, man. That's graphic.
Yeah.
But I can kind of picture it. Just meaty chunks flying off.
It's disgustingly descriptive, isn't it? And it wasn't all just jokes. There was this seriously practical but also funny bit about language.
The Spanish lessons.
Yeah. They apparently decided they needed to learn some basic Spanish phrases, maybe to interact with civilians in the game zones,
Okay, trying to be immersive.
Right. But they were very concerned about getting it wrong. So there was this whole process described of checking Google Translate Spanish to English very carefully.
Why Spanish to English?
To make absolutely sure they weren't accidentally saying something offensive. The specific example they worried about translating incorrectly was, well, something like, your male anatomy word is purple.
Oh, my God. Right. You definitely want to double-check that one before trying it out. Good call. Aiming for friendly banter, not that.
Exactly. Diligence in communication, even for the jokes. Okay, so bringing it back to the mission flow. They've done the bounties. They're using manhunts. Eventually, they need to hit some strongholds, right?
Yeah, the final phase seems to involve more set-piece battles.
Definitely. They talked about fighting for control points, like one called the Sleeping Giant over in Foggy Bottom.
What was key there?
Constant pressure, especially from the rear. They really stressed how vital it was for teammates to watch each other's backs, literally cover the backside of the person capturing the point.
Because enemies could flank them?
All the time. Enemy convoys or patrols could apparently just wander in from behind and completely disrupt the capture. So that focus on mutual support, watching those angles, was critical.
Teamwork paying off again. And that led them to the big finale.
Yeah, the final piece of the Halloween project puzzle seemed to be on Roosevelt Island. They had to flesh out one specific named target there to get their 4th kill. Connor Coldwater, I think, was the name.
Okay, final boss time. What was the situation?
Well, the tricky part was Coldwater wasn't just waiting around. He was already on a boat trying to make an escape.
So a chase. Or...
Not exactly a chase. The objective immediately changed. It wasn't about catching him anymore. It was about stopping the boat.
How do you stop the boat?
There were these big fuel tanks, one on each side of the boat's launch point. The strategy became destroy those tanks fast before the boat could get away.
Okay, so a demolition job under pressure. This sounds like where that high-damage shroud build would really shine.
And it did. They needed surgical stripes, timed hits on those tanks, and the notes mentioned just how fast they melted them.
How fast?
One agent apparently landed a hit, probably one of those charged shroud shots for 19 million damage on a single tank. Just dropped its health by, quote, a third in a single hit.
Wow, so they just hammered those tanks.
Hammered them. Coordinated fire, huge damage numbers. They took down both fuel tanks so efficiently they actually noted it down. The quickest we've ever done that.
Nice. Mission accomplished then. Boat stopped, target secured.
Yep. That was the 4th and final named target for the project. So boat stopped, target dealt with. You could feel the relief and celebration in the notes. Halloween project complete. Job done.
That's a great run-through. High energy, lots of laughs, but seriously effective tactics underneath it all.
Definitely. So if we pull back and look at everything, what's the main takeaway for you listening to this? I think it's pretty clear.
It seems like it's not just about having the best gear,
Yeah.
right? I mean, yeah, mastering that shroud rifle and the chain killer buff was obviously huge for them.
Crucial, yeah. You need the tools.
But the sources keep coming back to the communication, the teamwork, and maybe just as importantly, the humor. Finding those absurd moments, the sock puppets, the chuckleheads, that seems like the glue holding it together under pressure.
I completely agree. That high morale, fueled by the shared jokes and the ability to laugh at the weirdness, seems just as vital as the 40 million damage headshots. It's the buffer that lets them perform.
Which actually brings up a really interesting final thought, connecting back to that Nemesis versus Shroud thing from the start.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the team sort of complained about the Nemesis charge time feeling less realistic, right? But then they embraced the Shroud, which lets them hit for 40 million damage, something utterly unrealistic.
That's true. A definite contradiction there.
So the provocative question for you to chew on is, what wins out in the end? Is it the desire for some kind of simulation, some tactical realism? Or is it the sheer undeniable joy of seeing that massive hyper-optimized damage number pop up? Does that giant stat override everything else?
Yeah, what actually makes a game feel, mint? Is it the intricate simulation, or is it the satisfaction of mastering the systems, even if they lead to totally unrealistic outcomes like a 40 million damage shot? Where does the real fun lie?
It's something to think about. Is peak performance found in realism, or in pushing the systems to their absolute most absurd limits?
A question for the ages, maybe? Or at least until our next deep dive?